Being brave means that you aren't afraid to be scared. Because a lot of the times, the scariest things are also the most important. Like admitting who you love. Or who you are.
Love Victor Season 3 is set to hit both Disney Plus and Hulu this June, wrapping up the series in what hopes to be a satisfying conclusion for its fans. This season finds Victor going on a journey of self-discovery, not only deciding who he wants to be with, but more broadly, who he wants to be. With their time at high school nearing its end, Victor and his friends are faced with a new set of problems that they must work through to make the best choices for their future.
Everyone's like pressuring me to move on, but I just don't know if I'm ready to yet.
You're a good man, mijo. Maybe you and Nick will hit it off.
Now, thanks to the kind people over at both Hulu and Disney Plus, I've had the opportunity to see Love Victor Season 3 early, and it's been about a week since then, so I've had a lot of time to sit down and contemplate my thoughts pretty well, and I'm finally happy to share them with you, so let's get straight into it. For the record, this is a complete non-spoiler review, so feel free to watch if you've yet to see Season 3 of the show. I think this season was a respectable, albeit at times predictable conclusion to the show, that unfortunately restrains itself from being anything beyond that due to a very uneven structure and convoluted script that tries to take on so much with time not being on its side. That being said, it's definitely not a bad season, and it's still one I really enjoyed, so let's get straight into it. The season picks up straight from where we left off in Season 2's ending, but the answer to who's behind the door doesn't ultimately go on to mean very much, because almost straight away there's a lot more drama to come. This is a very drama-filled season, and one that doesn't intend to slow down or stop on pulling you on for the ride until the final episode. It's one which is arguably the season's best. It's great to see these characters again, even if it's unfortunately for the last time. Michael Cimino's Victor is easily the highlight of the season, as you'd hope for a show named after him. He's had so much development since his first appearance in Season 1, to the point Season 3 is no longer about him coming to terms with his sexuality, but about expressing that and being confident and open about that and owning the person he is while trying to push forward with his future and find the man he wants to be with. It's a great development, and he has a lot of great moments throughout these episodes, and I'm very happy about that. Just like I'm very happy with how much this season takes a closer look into Benji's life. Of course, without spoilers, I will just say it tackles some very serious storylines about turning to things as a coping mechanism from that feeling of not being good enough. George Sia excelled this season and tugged on a lot of the emotional aspects of it. Now, a character I wasn't anticipating to love so much this season was Raheem. Just from a personal standpoint, that I didn't like him too much during the previous time that we saw him. But I'm happy to report that he has completely changed my mind. It was really interesting to see more about him, his family, and how his sexuality affects him in his own personal and religious ways. There's definitely something in Raheem that everyone will be able to connect to in their own ways. Now, an unfortunate element of this season of Love Victor is how cramped it feels and how much it's trying to do in so little time. It forces certain storylines like Lucy, Lake, Felix, and Pilar's to feel a little underdone, unfortunately. Now, to get onto the negative aspect of this season, if I'm being blunt and totally honest, I did not like the entire arc of Mia or Andrew or her family. I just thought it was such a massive weight and holdover on the show, and one that put the pacing to a complete stop whenever something involving Mia or her family, etc. was on screen. And that sucks, because Mia was such a great character. Both Mia and Andrew were such great characters, especially in the first season of Love Victor. It feels as though the writers ever since Season 1 have been quite conflicted on where to take Mia's story next. And for all their attempts since then, I personally just haven't cared all that much, and would have rather the screen time and the focus be on another character or on some other storyline going on in the show. So while I used to love seeing them, all that was left for me of them in this season was the occasional moment that made me smile. As mentioned briefly, I think the pace in this season is noticeably inconsistent. The script is very muddled, and it feels like the crew is trying to keep it all together. What I think should have happened was, I think this season should have either been given the usual 10 episodes that Season 1 and 2 were given, or longer than 30-minute episodes, so the writers could have done what they were trying to do with the characters and could have fleshed it out a whole lot better. Because with the limited time it had this season, it just couldn't handle everything it was trying to. I do think extra time this season definitely could have helped. But overall, despite its restraints, Love Victor Season 3 manages to end the show while leaving the possibilities to return to Creekwood at some point down the line in a satisfying conclusion to what is ultimately still a great show that has done so much and helped so many, that of which I hope is the main takeaway when thinking back on this show. Not its negatives, but its vast amount of positives. I love these characters, I love what they mean to people, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with them. But anyway, I've rambled on enough with my thoughts on this season and on this show. I want to hear your thoughts next, so be sure to comment them down below. It'll be great to hear. Thanks so much for checking out this video, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.